Today is going to be quite interesting. I have a guest that was with us just a few weeks back that's back with us. Her name is Ameera Beth, and she is an incarnated mer person, an Atlantean high priestess. She is an ambassador for the remembrance of the wisdom and philosophy of the kingdom of Atlantis, and her specialty is helping others embody the art of detachment and reclaim their sacred space and raise their vibration, create healthy boundaries, discover their soul purpose. She is going to talk to us today about her association with Metatron. Metatron is an archangel. He was Enoch. If you've ever read anything in the book of Enoch, which is included in Christian and Jewish tradition, in the book of Enoch, he became Metatron, and his name means throne sharer. And he's also known as the lesser Yahweh or the lesser God. He is considered the most important of the archangels. I met Metatron during a reading for a client. I didn't know anything about him other than I had heard his name and saw him and during her reading, and he was really tall, definitely an angelic. There was a certain power to him that you associate with higher beings that have authority. The way that he presented himself to me, he was clothed in these white robes, and I was really fascinated by his robes, and I took a really good look, and they looked to be about 2 or 3 inches thick, and I was just admiring them, and he said that they were made out of light. And I asked him what his name was, and he said Metatron. And I said, excuse me? Like in my mind, I'm like making sure that I heard that correctly. And he said, you heard me. He was kind of serious. And when I looked up at his face, he had dark skin, like he was dark brown, almost black skin, very striking countenance. And during the reading with my client, he admonished her to be very careful with using his cube, and his cube is part of sacred geometry. He warned her not to use it casually because it connected the two worlds together, and if somebody wasn't ready for it, the energy might be a little intense for them. So I'm really tickled that our mermaid, our mer healer, Ameera Beth, knows a lot about both sacred geometry and how to activate that sacred geometry using Metatron's cube. So welcome, Ameera Beth. We're glad to have you here today.
Oh, aloha, Tracy. Happy to be here again.
You are most welcome. What was your first encounter with Metatron?
You know, my first experience with Metatron came as a complete kind of, I guess, shock to me. I had heard of Archangel Metatron, but I was not really familiar at all with, with him or with his geometry. I knew a little bit about sacred geometry and the Merkaba, and I knew what Metatron's cube was, as an image. I had seen it, but I had never worked with his energy before. I was very much working with Gabriel and Raphael and Michael and sort of the maybe more common archangels that seem to be really accessible to all of us.
Yeah, that most people have heard about. I think it would probably have been a surprise to many of the listeners that he is considered like the archangel.
Well, he is, and he's kind of an enigma, or at least for a very long time, he's kind of been an enigma, and it's been previously until maybe more recently, over the past, couple of years maybe. His energy is so powerful and so high vibrational that many of us have not really been able to connect to him in the way that we're able to now. And I believe we are able to now because of the level of consciousness and vibration raising that, all the hard work we've been doing on ourselves.
Yes.
And all the work we've been doing on the planet has allowed us to access his vibration, where previously it was really not available to most of humanity, because like you said, he is the lesser Yahweh. He is as close to talking to God itself as we're going to get, and that's a really big energy to hold and to communicate with. So my first experience with him was in January of 2014. I was planning my first retreat on Kauai. I take people to the island for healing and for spiritual retreats. And back then I was living in Portland, and I was just getting my first retreat that would happen in September of 2014 on Kauai kind of off the ground, and needing some extra motivation, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And really, I had never done a retreat before, and Spirit kept telling me to go to Kauai and to and to do this retreat. And so I really needed some very strong, active male energy, not only for, motivation, but just to really kind of pull me out of my any pushback I had around could I actually do this? And so I felt this really strong, powerful male energy around me, like this really kick ass, like you can do this, Ameera, like this booming feeling behind me to kind of pull me up and pull me out of myself. And it was actually another medium who confirmed to me, and she's like, "You have Archangel Metatron with you." I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yes,
Awesome.
I know,
So
it is. Yes,
I was like, I was like, "Really, you're kidding me?" And so it was that at that point I started my journey to really get to know who he was, what his geometry meant, what his energy, and really adjust to being in his energy and his frequency, and get to know him on, I don't want to say a personal level, but I guess it was getting to know him on a personal level. He was really coming through to teach me, show me, and motivate me to move all these things that I am now doing here on Kauai, to get all that, to put all that in motion. So I just started studying Metatron's cube, the 5 platonic solids, everything that's involved in Metatron's cube, and really his history and his history, his life and his history in general, learning about that.
Yeah, tell people about those terms, because some people don't know what Metatron's cube is, and they don't know even what sacred geometry is. So tell us a little bit about some of the basics there.
Okay, so yes, so Metatron's cube. Okay, so when we talk about the 5 platonic solids, there was a philosopher in about 1493 called Plato, who determined that our physical reality was comprised of 5 basic shapes. And those 5 basic shapes all hold an element. They have an element that's associated with them. We have 5 elements. So the cube would be earth, the tetrahedron would be fire, the octahedron would be air, the dodecahedron would be spirit, and the icosahedron would be water. So those are the shapes, the geometric format or shapes that create our physical reality, which is kind of a big thing to wrap your mind around.
Oh,
so
absolutely. That is
cube.
talking about the matrix. Like we think like in physical terms, and we kind of like get the idea that we're kind of electron clouds or something, proton clouds or something. We kind of get that we're more than spirit, but it's mind blowing when you start seeing into the matrix and you realize that there is a geometry and a beauty and a mathematical precision to what's going on. It's like,
and that's what it is. It's a mathematical precision. We are living in Metatron's cube.
Oh, cool. I thought of it that way. Yeah.
We are living in Metatron's cube. So not only do you have the 5 platonic solids, but then there's also the flower of life, and there is the Merkaba. Also, so there's all these geometric shapes that probably a lot of listeners are maybe familiar with. Okay, well, I know what the flower of life is. I've seen that. Or I know what the Merkaba is.
Well, describe those, because there are some listeners that don't know what they are. You and I were in the metaphysical world.
Yeah.
So the flower of life is that design that's circular, and it's divided into little, for lack of a better word, petal-like sections, but they don't radiate. They're kind of a grid, and they're ancient.
Well, and first of all, explain what sacred geometry is. And it's the art of ascribing symbolic and sacred meaning to certain geometric shapes and proportions. We see it in the construction and planning of churches, temples, mosques, sacred groves, arts, and all holy places. So sacred geometry has been used by advanced humans who are communicating with the divine really since architecture came about.
Yes. Yes. And I heard that some of our designs for mosques and cathedrals are actually echoed in the buildings of the other side. And I know from being in some of them that that's true, but that there is a certain geometry to the architecture that goes way beyond circles and squares.
Right.
And it creates kind of a matrix within itself, and it has energy associated with those points, and it creates a system of energy.
It does. So there's a belief that God created the universe according to a geometric plan.
Yes.
Like that's the ancient belief, and that certain numbers hold symbolic meaning for to the ancient world. That's why the ancient world used them, aside from their ordinary use for counting and calculating. That they actually, the geometric proportions imbue an energy. So if you think about even the cube being Earth, when you think of a cube, you think of foundation.
Yes. Four.
Which would be which would be Earth. When we think about a tetrahedron or a triangle, you think about the Trinity.
Yes.
You think about amplifying energy. That's why the tetrahedron is associated with fire, and why all the pyramids are all built.
Transmutation. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And in nature, we see sacred geometry everywhere. Like beehives are all hexagons.
Right.
You look at a snowflake, there's geometry all over a snowflake.
Yes.
Right? Nautilus shells, and even if you just look in nature at some of the plants and the leaves, you see the spirals and you see the circles and you see geometric patterns. Really, once you start to notice it, you see it everywhere.
Yes. And even in the symbols of, and this is just my knowledge, the monotheistic religions, certain stars are associated with each one. Like the Islamic star has two squares that are offset within each other, and the Jewish star has two triangles that are offset within each other. And then we associate actually both with Christianity and paganism, the five pointed star there. Yeah.
Yep. And Christian symbolism, the basic pentagram was originally used to represent the 5 wounds of Jesus Christ.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah. And so you think about the 5 wounds of Jesus, and we have 5 elements. So it's all completely interconnected, and has been since the inception of time. The pentagram is also a symbol of magic used in the pagan world.
Yes.
So there's all these kind of like crossover, references, and it doesn't matter what ideology or religion you're from. Sacred geometry is present in all of them.
Absolutely, it's embedded in everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Corporations use geometry as well, which most people aren't aware of. If you look at Texaco has the 5-pointed star.
Right.
If you look at Arco, if you look at that symbol, you are looking down on top of a pyramid.
Oh, very cool.
So it's like looking, and you can see, it's like you're looking from the top down, because they use the tetrahedron. So there are many companies, corporations understand the power behind numbers and the power behind sacred geometry.
Yes.
So of course they're going to use them to imbue that energy, sometimes for benevolent means, sometimes maybe for not so much.
Right.
They use that in their corporate logos because they know it holds a specific energy and frequency. When they blast that out to the world, that's the vibration and frequency that they're offering to all of us through their products.
Yes. Yeah, we use in the Universal Mind, which is the 501c3 public charity / religious organization that I'm part of and helped create, we use the flower of life as the background to a symbol that was given to me that looks kind of like an Om symbol, but it's really the like kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of and it's a basic component of design among artists too. Using geometric components are very powerful visually, but I think they are resonating to the higher vibrations that they offer too.
Right, right. So geometry, the flower of life really begins with something called the vesica piscis, which is a shape of two intersecting discs with the same radius and intersecting in such a way that the center of each disc lies on the perimeter of the other. So they overlap to create a third.
Yeah, it's a beautiful design. And I think there was a legend, I don't recall if it was a Mayan legend, I'm not sure, that said that when that design starts appearing, that it's beginning like the entrance of the era of light.
Well, it is. And the two intersecting circles, the two whole coming together to create a third, the third in the middle is actually the void of creation. It's kind of considered like the vagina of the universe or the yoni of the universe,
right?
Where a third entity can be birthed and created.
Yes.
So it's like the masculine and feminine coming together.
Well, the material, yes, and the material emerges from the void.
Yep, and the spirit that comes to the center.
Yes.
So the flower of life is really the it's the culmination, or the vesica piscis being repeated over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, back to Metatron. So your relationship began with him similar to my kind of a startled encounter.
It did, and I started learning about him and learning about Metatron's cube and using Archangel Metatron takes his cube and he places it around everything that he creates.
Okay.
Because it holds the blueprint for all of creation through the Platonic solids.
Okay. And the Platonic solids, again, that's a term I'm not familiar with. Those are the Plato's 5 elements that are represented geometrically.
Right. That are the building blocks of our reality.
Right. Okay, cool. I'm on board.
So, and you can go into the really technical meanings of what all these shapes mean, the really mathematical terms. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing for people to know is just that they all represent an energy and an element. And so if you are working with the octahedron, and that's the element of air, and I'm looking right now, I just moved into this new place, and I have the architect of this home designed it like you're living inside of a ship. And so I have
that's very suited for a mermaid.
I have an octahedron porthole, like I'm on a ship porthole, in the shape of an octahedron that I look straight out of. From my bed, I look up to the sky.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's very interesting. I don't even know if she knew that she was doing that she was putting the geometric shape for air and the element of air so you could view the sky through the octahedron.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. And Metatron's cube is what shape?
Metatron's cube has many, many shapes. So not only does it have all the different geometric patterns we've just discussed, but there are also 13 spheres.
Oh. 13
spheres, and then there are the lines that connect to all the spheres. 144 lines. And we all know that 144 in the Bible is the ascension number.
Yes, yes.
Okay, 13 is the goddess number.
Yes.
The circles are the feminine. The lines are the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the masculine and feminine coming together, I want you to picture an egg or an ovum. Mm-hmm. The female ovum. And the ovum itself, not much can happen to to an egg or an ovum, nothing can become created until the masculine sperm
Mm-hmm.
or the lines of the masculine penetrate the spheres.
Right. Yeah,
And
and it
when
is a balance of masculine energy and feminine energy.
that's what it is. And once the masculine lines penetrate the spheres of Metatron's cube, the spheres amplify everything that enters it. Just like women, as the embodiment of creation and the goddess, we amplify and we create through what enters us. We expand everything that enters us.
Yes.
So we have the 13 spheres, and there's 13 moon cycles in a calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
13 is the goddess number, and we have these lines that need a destination. Without a destination, which are the circles, the lines go nowhere. They do nothing. They just travel on and on and on. So the circles, the feminine gives the masculine a destination. The masculine gives the feminine something to create.
Beautiful. I like that. Yeah, very nice.
You know, and when I started putting that association together about how, I mean, Metatron's cube really is so divine.
Right?
I mean, it's just so like mind blowing the deeper you go into the symbology and to the meaning, and the more you realize that when you work with Metatron's cube, and we can talk a little bit about how you can bring Metatron's cube into your kind of your everyday life for expansion, you realize that it is a force for creativity. It is a template for you to create anything you like in your life. That's what it's for.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the way it was explained in the reading, and like I said, I had heard the name, but I had not, I really hadn't studied it or anything like that. And he was explaining that in her case, that she shouldn't put the cube randomly underneath her clients that she was doing massage
Yes.
for, because she was working with their energies, and it was like a portal between the
Yes.
two worlds. It was like like the vibration that it set opened portals, and it was like, the way he explained it, sort of like a laser that could do harm if it was misdirected.
Well, and that, and the other thing about that, because we do have free will, and because I really believe that when we are to receive something from spirit, or when we feel somebody needs something from spirit, we need to ask them first.
Yes, yes.
Without
Yes.
arbitrarily assuming. So I do Metatron's cube activations.
Mm-hmm.
People come to me and I activate Metatron's cube in their aura, but I let them come to me and I ask them specifically before the activation, are you ready to receive Metatron's cube? Because their verbal yes is very important.
Yes.
To having the right intention for what's about to be activated for them.
That's exactly what he said. He said
I don't
you have
activate,
to ask them. Yeah.
Yes, I don't activate I do not activate Metatron's cube for anybody who does not come and ask me for it,
Right.
or does not give their verbal, because it really is, an activation and a gift that needs to be taken with a lot of reverence.
Well, and I think that changes at that level occur at the etheric level, the out of body, high soul level. And when we are out of body or in the body free state, even though we have an etheric body, if we choose to use it, our will is sovereign.
Yeah.
We're not, our wills are only violated down in this dense area where there's just like a zip drive of condensed energies in the physical plane, because we're emerging, we're like the leading edge or the cutting, like there's a lot of pressure down here. But when we're in our out of body state, and I think that's why our guides and angels don't violate our will.
Correct.
They wait for our instruction, And speaking on that, I wanted to ask you your opinion, because this is something that I've noticed. Angels seem to operate at that etheric level, and guides seem to operate to assist us with the material level. I'm not saying they aren't connected or gradated or, associated. I'm just saying that the predominant purpose of the guides. So with guides, you would have to invoke or instruct them on what you want to do. Angels pretty much know what they want to do. like what we asked them to do before we came in. But when
Mm-hmm.
it deals with a high issue like healing or clearing karma or clearing energy or something at a higher vibrational level, it seems like the angels are on board for that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Because we have free will and we do have guides, spirit guides all around us, they can only help us at a certain level until we ask them to intercede.
Yeah.
I believe it's the same with the angels too, that the angels are always available to us and working on our behalf. But until we consciously say, hey guys, I know that you can help me with this, take over, show me, give me something, when we use our free will to invite them in, that's when they can
Yes.
really perform miracles. But
Absolutely.
and people don't realize that you just got to ask.
You have to
Just
ask. That's
ask.
right. That's right. Because, and I think we kind of expect angels to kind of do their job because they're in charge of our life contracts. Some of them, not all of them, the ones that are assigned to that duty. So we don't have to ask them to keep us in our life contract because they're going to do that whether we ask or not. But there's so many other aspects to us and our connection to those higher vibrational realms. It's really amazing to work with angels.
It is, and Metatron's cube. There is an archangel for every sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
all the major archangels are also associated with Metatron's cube, hold a place in the sphere. So when you work with Metatron's cube, you are actually working with the entire pantheon of archangels.
Oh, that's interesting.
Metatron
Oh,
is at the top. Sandalphon, who is his twin, is at the bottom.
okay.
And then the other archangels like Zadkiel, Raziel, Michael, Gabriel, Chamuel, they all fall in one sphere or another along the way.
And don't they kind of reflect, I don't know if this is a Kabbalistic concept or what, but don't they kind of reflect energy centers or different colors as well?
They do, yep,
Like
they
rays,
do.
you know?
Yeah, and speaking of the Cabal, Tree of Life is also
Tree of life.
integrated into Metatron's cube.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Everything is there. Like
Yes.
everything is integrated. It is the blueprint of creation.
Which is a real, yeah, it's a huge statement to say everything is there
Yeah.
because that's how it is in this world. We don't see it always, but everything is there.
Yes.
Well, we are at our break, and as always, time flies with you. We'll be back at the other side of the hour here, and look forward to that.
Now back to our show from a medium's perspective with host Reverend Tracey Lockwood.
Welcome back. If you missed the first half of our show or you'd like to listen to any of our past episodes, you can find them on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, put in Medium Tracey Lockwood or From a Medium's Perspective, and you'll find it there. And while you're there, please subscribe to my channel. So we were talking before the break about Metatron, Archangel Metatron, who is also known as the Throne Sharer or the Lesser Yahweh. He is the intercessor between God and, or what we know as God, and the angels. And we're talking with Ameera Beth. You can find her at ameerabeth.com. And we were talking, Ameera, about his cube, and you were telling us about how it sort of represents the earth or the manifestation of things, and that it holds the 5 platonic solids, which are the sacred geometrical shapes that comprise everything, the elements, the tree of life, the flower of life, and the angels all kind of wrapped up, connected with this cube. So what was the next thing that you were headed to tell us about there?
One of the best things you can remember about sacred geometry in general, and especially Metatron's cube, is that it's transcendental. So it's beyond our experience of phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
Sacred geometry defies time and space and being ordinary, or any kind of ordinary or common experience, thought, or belief. It's supernatural. Sacred geometry is really supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tune into and meditate on or draw color sacred geometry, we tap into a universe of possibilities that allows us to mold our reality and physical experience into the mind of the creator. That's what sacred geometry is, shapes and patterns that create our physical reality through the mapping of our minds and individual and God consciousness. Sacred geometry, meditating on it, working with it, will harmonize your right and left brain.
Yes.
And it really does create, like, this world that we live in, this world that we live in is the dream. The geometry is the reality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And in harmonizing the right and left brain, that is balancing the masculine and feminine energies in us.
Correct.
Too.
The circles and the lines.
And you were talking about, we were talking about, with permission of our clients, you work with them to sort of charge the auric field with the energy of this. So tell us how that works, like how.
So I take people through a short process. I sit down with folks, first of all, and I can do this in person or over Skype or even over the phone. Talk to them a little bit about Archangel Metatron and about Metatron's cube and what it means to me,
Mm-hmm.
and why I like to access and bring sacred geometry to people. And with that, I do a meditation with Archangel Metatron, and I actually ask him to insert his geometry down into the auric field, in and around my clients. So it enters through the infinite gateway chakra, which is the 12th chakra at the top, and then just moves down in third dimensionally around us. Mm-hmm. Inserted into our auric field 360 degrees, and I bring that geometry down, or I have him bring that geometry down through them. So your entire auric field is surrounded three-dimensionally by Metatron's cube, and then we take that 13th sphere, and I would love to talk a little bit more about the number 13 too, if we have time.
Sure.
That 13th sphere in the middle of Metatron's cube is the master sphere. It also represents our master chakra, which is the sacred soul chakra between the heart and the solar plexus. So he locks that down into the sacred soul chakra, that 13th sphere, and that enables us to actually have an imprinting of Metatron's cube in our auric field for all time. So it's kind of like, if any of you are Reiki attuned and you have the Reiki symbols, you always have the symbols, the Reiki symbols, but if you don't work with it, they're not as potent as they can be if you're using your Reiki symbols often. Metatron's cube works the same way. It is a giant symbol, many symbols inserted into your auric field that if you tune into, that you meditate with, that you connect with regularly, it really has transformational properties for your entire life.
So yes, and I was getting a visual as you were describing that. Thank you for that. That it's like a realignment of their energies and harmonizing it with a balance of the sacred.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are inside Metatron's cube. That's our physical reality. And when you are embodying the imprint of sacred geometry in your energy field, in your auric field, that will amplify everything you are intending to do.
Yeah, it's like a fine tuning. And, we get distracted. Life has its challenges. People, go through grief, they go through anger, they go through fear, they go through greed, they go through, an off-centering of their energies so that they're focused, and energy follows focus. So it's very easy.
Right.
And also those of us that are empathic, well, I think everyone probably is to a degree, although some people don't listen, like sociopaths. But we pick up the energies of other people too. So that clearing and sorting and attuning, I guess, would be another term for that, to that higher vibrational thing. It's not just like a wave, it's like a matrix.
Yeah, exactly. Metatron's cube will protect you also from negativity, even that which comes from yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. Wow. So so are there I think you had mentioned that there are archangels that are associated with his cube
Right.
when you're doing these attunements, for lack of a better word. What do you call them? What do you call them?
Activations.
Activations. I like that. Yes, because that makes much more sense in what I was seeing visually. Like when I do house clearings or protective things in, larger spaces, sometimes I see sort of a matrix of energy connecting.
Hmm.
And I was seeing that, and that, yes, yes, I like that, an activation. Um,
Yes.
do you invoke them also at that time, or because it's kind of part of the total energy? Because that's a huge perspective to bring, or energy to bring into someone's energy.
The archangels automatically come. You automatically get the full pantheon of archangels just by asking for Metatron's cube.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody needs something specifically from one of the archangels, I can work with that as well and invoke that as well. But typically, once you have Metatron's cube working in your energy field, you're already connected to all of them, and you can actually go in and at a higher level say, okay, today I need to be working with, Raphael for emotional healing, for heart healing.
Mm-hmm.
And because his energy is already imbued in Metatron's cube and you're surrounded with, it makes it very easy. It's kind of like,
more accessible.
I kind of feel like I just go in, like I push a button, I push a sphere, I go, Gabriel, you're up.
Right,
Haniel,
right, right. Yes, yes. And I think, you know, in a respectful manner, of course, right? Yes.
yeah,
But I think that when we do achieve a state of balance in our life of the masculine and feminine, and I don't mean gender. I'm not talking about male people and female people. I'm talking about a balance of
yeah,
masculine and feminine energies, because we're souls. We divide up all kinds of different ways. We play different roles in each other's lives through many lives. So it's not about gender specific masculine and feminine. It's about the balance
right.
of those energies within us. But once that balance is achieved and we start to master that sense of balance, then there seems like there's kind of a fluidity that occurs where we can reach out and use our connection with this or that. And we sort of have a sense, it's like a palette. Yes.
Well, and
Uh,
we really have more authority than we think we do. The archangels really are here. They're in service to us. They love us. It's said that we are in awe of the angels, but the angels are really in awe of us.
yes, because
Because with
we're in
only
the
the exception
physical
of a
form.
couple of them, they've never been human.
Right. Right.
So we really can command their service, and they are a part of us. I believe them. I believe that I am a part of their essence and they are a part of mine, that we're not separate, and that we can merge together, join together, and we really do have the ability to to pull in their energetics and command their power and authority to create miracles in our life at a much deeper level than we think.
Oh, yeah, I fully, heartily agree with you on that. Tell us, you had some interest in the number 13 here. Tell us,
Yes.
some people are superstitious about that number. It, of course, reduces to a 4 again, which is
Hmm.
foundations, earth, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But tell us how that works as far as it being a master chakra and some other things that pop in your mind about that.
Okay, so we have 13 major chakras in our energy field, from the infinite gateway about a foot above our head to the earth star gateway down beneath our feet. And the rest of them fall in between. When you think of the number 12 in our society, you think 12 months in a calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
We think of 12 hours, 12 a.m., 12 p.m. 12 is kind of a number of completion.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
We
12
had
disciples.
King
Yeah.
Arthur.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We have King Arthur and the 12 Knights of the Round Table. We
Yes.
had Jesus and his 12 disciples, and we have the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yes.
But what happens when we enter the number 13? When you bring in the 13th, like Jesus or
Mm-hmm.
King Arthur, you bring in the master.
Yeah, and it's a more physical sensation too, for some reason, like
So
material.
the 12 really isn't completion. The completion comes when the master enters the picture,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And expands everything that is the completion of the 12, like expands that to a higher level. So we have these 12, we have 13 chakras in our body, and the 13th is the master chakra, the sacred soul between the heart and the solar plexus. We have been working with our chakras linearly.
Right.
We work with them linearly, and Metatron started to explain to me that we're not linear.
Right. Right.
And
We're
our
not
chakras
all out
really
on a
aren't
line.
linear either. Like they have this kind of supposed place in our body, but when I work with people's chakras now, and when I insert Metatron's cube, that comes in third dimensionally. Our chakras really are third dimensional around our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So he had me map out through Metatron's cube, through the 13 spheres, reassign a place for all the different chakras to go in each one of the spheres on and line them up on certain axes together, depending on how they interact with each other.
Yes.
So I'm kind of developing this whole new system for us to work with our body as energy, not in a linear fashion, in a third dimensional and beyond type of fashion. So, your heart chakra, okay, you have your heart, but that's not necessarily the only place your heart chakra is.
Right.
So working with people now and helping them to understand that if we continue to work with ourselves in a linear fashion, that actually impedes our evolution because we're not linear. We are multidimensional beings.
Yes.
And so accessing our body of energy and geometry as in a multidimensional fashion and our energy centers allows us to evolve and really to tap into our multidimensional selves, our multidimensional aspects at a much more profound level.
That really resonates with me because I'm thinking, when you're talking about linear connection to the chakras, going from the red chakra at the base of the spine, to the orange chakra, for the people that are listening, on up, the spinal column till the one above. And that is great for internal work like meditation or becoming aware of where you start and stop and finding a calm at your center. But I like the term activated, to be activated, that opens you up to all the infinite energies. And it sort of has a sense of light and a connection to all things rather than an insulated internal look. It's more of an outward look, would you say?
Well, and even chakras and teaching of chakras has become a little dogmatic. I don't even know that the colors that are represented in our chakras, I don't even feel that that's accurate anymore. If it ever was. I think that people are learning to we all need to view ourselves uniquely. And our chakras uniquely, and even the colors that we feel them to be. If we feel they have a color, you determine what color yours is. What color do you want it to be today? What color do you need your root chakra to be to help you the most?
Right.
What color do you need to hold in that chakra to open up and expand that energy center? So we don't need to limit ourselves anymore by kind of the dogma and the ancient teachings that really served us for a very long time. But we're evolving way past that.
Yeah, and to find, like, let's say you're working with your root chakra, but maybe you need to be kind to yourself in the physical and take some time for your body and ground yourself. So maybe turquoise, the high heart color, would be
Absolutely.
appropriate.
Maybe you need to send calming to your root chakra, and blue is a calming color.
For balance, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And yeah, so we've got just a few minutes here. I didn't know, did you have something you were going to share with them about like an exercise or something? Or was there, what was in
I do. So if you really would like to get with sacred geometry and study it, the best thing you can do is just print out a black and white copy of Metatron's cube or the Flower of Life or the Merkaba and meditate on it and color it.
Oh, nice.
Color it. Okay? Color, when you work with color, you're using your creativity, right? You're using your imagination and you're connecting with the geometry in your own specific way. So that's what I do. I just get out colored pencils. And when I'm manifesting, like today's new moon, good day to manifest is through sacred geometry. And I write in pictures in Metatron's cube of the things that I'm manifesting or the things I'm creating. And I write words around it. And I create my own template or my own palette for creativity, my own palette for manifestation through Metatron's cube. So that's one way you can do it. I also use a copper plate. I have a friend who hand tools copper, and I have Metatron's cube on a copper plate that I charge at my crystals, that I charge at my words, my intentions, anything that I want to go on top of the copper. So I use that as well. And then I just think about and activate Metatron's cube, activate and reactivate it every day, just through my intention and connecting with the archangels consciously.
Yes, because energy follows focus. So if you don't, then it's not that the energy disappears, it's that your
focus is somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anybody
is a beautiful connection to create daily, what a wonderful ritual for
it's the day. Yeah, just meditate before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, anytime, just meditate on the geometry and meditate on, ask the archangels to help you. Just ask them. I have a webinar on my website. It's a 2.5-hour webinar.
Yes,
explaining sacred geometry and really like layman. Doesn't matter if you know a lot about sacred geometry or nothing at all. You will be able to understand what I'm sharing with you. You'll be able to get it. So it's a webinar that comes with a 55-page PowerPoint that I will send to you all. I talk you through it all, and then you've got the PDF in front of you to go through and to follow along, take notes. So that's a great, easy way to learn about sacred geometry, and that's only $33.
And that is at your website, ameerabeth.com. Ameera, thank you so much. I love your energy. You're very beautifully intense, and it's
I am. Thank you.
The show, and I hope our listeners have enjoyed the show today as well. May today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in yourself and in others, and in the source of our infinite love and light. And we'll see you next week again for another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. And remember, it's never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing.